Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Packers.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. We're sitting down here about 68 degrees today. Jacob's talking about a blizzard blowing through, so I don't know. Old man Winter's drunk. He needs to go home, Jacob. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he does, especially because he was flirting with people around my side of the state. We've had mid-30s, mid-40s, which – from where we were at, that was like summer weather. And now all of a sudden, they're saying anywhere from 8 to 12 inches overnight. So that's what she said.
Easy killer. All right. See, we're already off the rails. Unbelievable. Tim, obviously, he's out doing way more important things. Emilio might slide in here. I doubt it. He's still working on the wall. He's literally working on the wall too, guys. I'm not lying.
He's not a joke.
Building a retaining wall for a long time. So obviously, that's some of y'all got that, some of you didn't, and that's okay. So the big news of the night here, Jacob, and we got a poll question up. We'll get to that here in a second. But obviously, this is big news. I'm sorry. I haven't been this excited in a long time when it comes to a Packers signing. Obviously, Xavier McKinney was huge last year. That was way more important, but man, I'm just so happy they got this deal done. As Adam Schefter tweeted out, the Packers and kicker Brandon McManus reached agreement today on a 3-year, $15.3 million deal, including a $5 million signing bonus. The deal was negotiated by Drew and Jason Rosenhaus. So obviously, Brandon McManus, 3-year deal, going to stay in Green Bay. We know a 3 is really – it can be a 2. If for some reason he falls off the map here, and with a $5 million signing bonus, Jacob, that – the way I'm reading this, and we got to see all the contract details, but it sounds like only $5 million of it's going to be a true guarantee, a practical guarantee, what we call. So really what it is a 1-year, $5 million deal. And then it's kind of like the Josh Jacobs contract. If for some reason he didn't live up to expectations last year, you can get out of that after a year or two, So I think this is awesome, dude. He was the second most accurate kicker in the entire league last year. Brandon McManus back in Green Bay, man. How you feel about it?
I'm ecstatic. I mean, you guys know that I love some good kicker talk. We love kicker talk on this podcast. So what better way to start out this pod than cementing in what has been kind of a carousel, unfortunately, in that position lately. We were so spoiled, having Ryan Longwell for as long as we did, and then obviously getting into Mason Crosby. And then, as much as I wanted to root for Anders and kind of a carousel of a few others, it's really nice to see, 1, a guy that we can count on, and 2, a resurgence of a guy's career that almost got absolutely thrown down the toilet for, I'd say, suspect reasons. So it's great for both sides. I'm excited about it. Like you said, the deal it's a perfect deal in my opinion. It's one where basically he's happy right away. We're happy right away. It's kind of a prove it deal. Like you said, we can get out of it early if we need to. If he starts just absolutely, doo-doo in the bed, then we can pull and go another direction. But as of right now, I'm super pumped. Where are we at with the punter, Mr. Irish?
Yeah, so he's we still have rights to him for a year or two, if I remember correctly. I want to say he's the way his whole deal is structured there, where he was undrafted free agent, I guess technically. I'm pretty sure that we've got like restricted free agency rights to him for a year or two after this year. So they need to get that done, though. They need to not let him walk. I'm telling you, that's another guy that forever we were so aggravated with special teams in Green Bay. We finally got this straightened out somewhat, with the kicker and the punter, and I think the long snapper as well, personally, and the holder, of course, being Daniel Whelan. I think you gotta get him under contract too if it comes to the point where he's potentially going to hit free agency, because I think he would be one of the higher paid punters in the game, probably top 5 in the game, I would imagine. So yeah, completely agree with you there. As there you go. Prince says, PTA, your number one source for kicker talk. Hey man, I'm telling you, I remember those days where we were ready to pull our hair out. Paul Grant in the chat, great job Packers re-signing McManus. Now go get Davante Adams and Khalil Mack. Love your show. Appreciate you, Paul. Thanks so much for tuning in, buddy. So that's the poll question here, obviously, guys, and I tried to ask it in the best way possible to give everybody flexibility to answer the way they want to answer, Jacob. But the poll question is, what is the maximum you would pay Davante Adams? This obviously per year, okay? I said $10 million, $20 million, $30 million, or $5 million, okay? So it's 5, 10, 20, or 30. Right now, leading the way is $10 million. So 53% of the people watching the show right now are saying they would not go over $10 million average annual per. 36% said they go as high as $20 million, but no higher than that. 11% basically said let him write the check, and 3% said no more than $5 million. I want to get your take on this because we got the calculated market value here, and wanted to see what you thought about this, as obviously the news of the day was that the Jets officially cut Davante Adams. At least came across the transaction wire today. It's probably I don't know if it's a June 1 or not. Probably don't even have to be a June 1. But anyway, what do you think, man? What's the maximum you would pay Davante Adams?
So I think 10 is a little unrealistic at this point. I think 20 is way far out of where I'd go. I'd be comfortable settling into somewhere to that 13 to 17 million at the absolute top is kind of where I'd sit. Now I'm sure people will get mad even at that much money. And you guys know I don't like to spend money, but I watched Davante Adams and what he can do. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the fact that I don't think the guy is injury prone. Everybody's going to have a little bit dinged up here and there in the NFL. But I think if we could find a sweet spot in between the 10 and 20 range, even if it's just for 1 year, 2 years, whatever whatever we can do to get him back in, I just really do think I think that he's going to be the perfect example of a guy that knows the team, knows the organization, knows the philosophy, knows the way that to come in there and be a leader without ruffling too many feathers, saying, hey, I got my money. What are you young kids? You know what I mean? He's going to go in there and want to mentor them because it's personal for him. And I think that he wants to leave a legacy, not just be another guy that had a great couple of years, a great stint. He wants to leave a legacy. I think that about him for sure. And 12 for this makes a really great comment here. He said, I swear, if we get Tay and Mac without having to give up a draft pick, boy, I'd be happy as AFAM thinking about AFAM.
That's pretty damn happy.
That's pretty happy, man.
That's about as happy as it gets. Greg Rice says, hi, everyone. I think Tay will want between 10 to 20 million. I think that is too rich for Green Bay's blood. You know, precedent would suggest you're correct, right? When was the last time we signed a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver, right? And I'm sure it may have happened on a flyer, maybe a much, much lower contract. Maybe it was them trading for Randall Cobb, and I guess you could say they technically agreed to a deal. But, man, 10 to 20, it's just never happened. So we'll see what happens for sure. Chris in the chat says, Davante Adams, 2 years, 30 million, 20 million guaranteed. Will that get it done, Clay? Yeah.
I'd be pumped. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, because it's really just a 1 year, $20 million deal, and the club would have an option of bringing him back for roughly $10 million. Now, it might not be how you specifically allocate the cap there. But, yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I think I'd be on board with that. I would, because you're not tying yourself up long-term, obviously. And like someone had mentioned just a second ago, the comment that you highlighted, Jacob, if you can get Khalil Mack in here too on a 1 or a 2 year deal, guys, you can cut bait next year on both those guys. And that might be what you need to kind of get you over that hump, or at least get you to the hump. Right now, I don't think we're quite to the hump yet. You know what I mean? Shut up, AFM. I know your head's in the gutter here. But so I kind of feel like if you can stabilize that defensive line a little bit more, and you go and get a receiver like Tay in free agency for the right price, of course, that allows you to free yourself up in the draft to build through the trenches like we were talking about as well. I think that's kind of a win-win. Now, the other conversation obviously is going to be Jair Alexander, but the reason I haven't spoken a whole lot about corner guys, and I do have it, I have us needing 3. I have us needing 3 corners, and one starting caliber if the right guy's on the market. I'm not like crazy about overpaying for like DJ Reed and these guys. If you can get them for market value, absolutely. But if it's something that you got to overpay a little bit to get, a little more hesitant. The reason I'm so okay with the way the pass defense was, or the secondary was last year, if I remember correctly, Jacob, we were pretty solid, man. Like when you look at EPA per dropback, If you look at this right here, we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We were probably about 6th or 7th in the league in EPA per dropback at a minus 0.02. So when you're top 10 in something, I don't look at it like, man, we got to improve that. I kind of feel like, okay, let's let these guys get better. If you can find a piece to make it better, go for it. Awesome. Your run defense was even better than that. We were second in the league, tied for second in the league, rushing yards per carry. So I don't know, man. I don't look at the cornerback room and go, God, what are we going to do? Because Ja was out the large majority of the year. And I'm telling you, man, that EPA per dropback, it wasn't like he was a superstar when he was on the field last year. He gave up some big plays. He did. Now, he wasn't horrible. He wasn't bad. He was still a good corner, but he definitely wasn't worthy of a $20+ million per year type corner. You know what I'm saying? So I don't look at the DBs and worry. I look at the Eagles game and I think, okay, we got to build up this offensive line a little bit better. We got to get better in the trench, especially, on the inner part of the line. So I don't know. What you got anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, I agree. Lately my mocks have been shifting towards really having to find some sort of cornerback within the first 2 rounds, if not the first 3, and then coming back around in the 6th and 7th and really at least getting 1 or 2 more like you talked about. I think 3 is fair. And who knows what's going to happen with, guys like Valentine that are almost going to be 30. I really hope that Valentine keeps on his kind of trajectory that he's going. I don't think we're going to have Stokes around. I just don't think we're going to have Jair if I had to guess right now. So where does that leave us with Keyshawn and maybe King and a couple others that are going to be sporadically thrown in there? I agree with you. I'm not super worried, which is kind of a weird feeling. I do feel like they're going to have something figured out there. And if there was a room that they had to have a little bit of lack of talent at, maybe that you needed to have better coaching to fill that gap, it's nice knowing that Halfley is kind of that DB type whisperer, formidable type coach. So I do want to see them in the first 3 rounds, either like just some sort of stud that we can say, okay, that's going to be the guy that we're going to hopefully put a lot of our stock into. And then at least maybe 2 or 3 late rounders where it's like, if they surprise us, then that just shifted the whole dynamic of this defense. You know what I mean? Right. And the depth chart, like you talked about.
Definitely. Greg Rice says, give him 12 milli. So Turtle says, real question is what number? We'll tell you where if he does come back. I could care less. So Turtle, if he wants 17, I'm sure McManus wouldn't have a problem giving it up. Right? Isn't McManus 17? Am I thinking right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, yeah, the greatest basketball in the history, or the basketball player in the history of the game, came back and said, hell with it, I'll wear 45 this time. It ain't a big deal to me. You know what I mean? I've never looked at that type of stuff like a huge deal. Tipster Watch MX over on X says 10 million is where he would cap it out. Daryl says 10 million would be my choice of target to pay Tay, so maybe 10 million or less. Stedfish was 5 million realist. I would think an offer like that would be an insult. Yeah, it's not real. I was trying to give people, I didn't want to put, I don't want to sign him, because I think people would take him for that much. Again, I want to give everybody an option there to kind of stress as close to how they truly feel. Vinny Lamborghini here. That's a cool AI photo there too, by the way. 15 million probably is what he says. I'd be okay with that. And Drew D says, we know Adams can perform in the weather too. It's so true, man. Yep. It's true. He's proven that time and time again. And so when you look at the market value according to Spot Track, they've got it at 13.6 million, Jacob. And the comps they have is Stephon Diggs, Mike Evans, Tyler Lockett, and DeAndre Hopkins. And, of course, they do all their calculations here to come up with an average prime percentage change of minus 14.21%, settling in at 2 years, $27.1 million, or an average annual salary of $13.5 million. So I would love that. And it's kind of in that ballpark of what Chris N said. 2 years, $27 million, guarantee 20 of it to make it worth his time. And let's have him for 2 years. You know what I mean? And who knows? Maybe the Packers get hot. They win a Super Bowl this year, and he can retire and ride off into the sunset. And the Packers get that cap back. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's a pretty fair number? I mean, based off what you said, I think that's pretty close, right?
I mean, that'd be ideal for me. I would take that contract, and I'd be super pumped. I would have to imagine Davante would be pumped as well. So best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move it along here as we get on to the next topic. And just to kind of go through the news from today, because there was a lot of stuff popping off here. And Ari Mirov's a great follow over on X at My Sports Update. He said, today in the NFL, the Jets cut Davante Adams. The Eagles signed Saquon Barkley to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension.
Damn.
Cowboys signed, and I personally like it. We'll talk about it here in a second. Cowboys signed defensive tackle Osa.
Odigizua?
You got it. You nailed it. My man. 4 years, $80 million, so $20 million per year on average. I want to say it was $50 million guaranteed. I could be wrong. Seattle Seahawks cut Draymond Jones, defensive tackle Roy Robertson Harris, sounds like a country singer, safety Rayshon Jenkins, and offensive tackle George Fant. The LA Rams traded former Pro Bowl guard Jonah Jackson to the Bears for a 6th-round pick. I hate to say it, kind of like that trade for the Bears. Eagles released cornerback James Bradbury. The Saints released running back Jamal Williams. Before anybody says anything, I don't think it's the same Jamal that we used to have. Okay, he's
no, it is. It is. I mean, not literally, but not in spirit. No,
it's not the same guy. Not the same. It's the same guy, but it's not the same guy.
To be honest, I'm surprised he lasted this long in the league because he was a very old school type running back of just a straight up type of runner that was kind of more of a bruiser. That I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did.
Yeah. Packers re-signed kicker Brandon McManus to a 3-year, $15.3 million deal. Then he said, of course, scroll through his updates there, his Twitter, as he had all the updates. So I'll just zoom out here. We got Emilio joining us now, too. Jacob, what catches your eye here, man? Pick one. We'll talk about it.
Well, I mean, the one that kind of made my emotions kind of be a little more shocked was tell me why you think extending the running back Saquon Barkley to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension. I thought that the running back position was dead, Clayton.
It's funny, isn't it? The Giants were like, listen, I'm not going to put this much. They didn't want to give Saquon. It was like $1 or $2 million extra. No, it might have been a little bit more than that. You may know the number, Emilio. However much more money it was, the Giants said that's not worth it. And he just went out there and ran all over the league, won a Super Bowl. The reason I like this signing, and I'll get Emilio's take, is culture. It's called culture. It's called rewarding people for doing what they're supposed to do, rewarding people for being a team player, rewarding people for being a team leader, staying healthy, all those things. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, man, they're coming off that high of winning a Super Bowl, and then they look up, and they did not have to do this extension for Saquon, and all of a sudden management said, this is what we do for our players that really excel on our team.
Management said, I'm gonna feel real bad if he runs all over us next year. And they said, pay that man.
That's it. So I love it, Jacob. That's what I meant by it. It's all about culture. And I know we got people that love fantasy football, and we got people that play Madden like Emilio does, like I do. And it's easy to go, well, what's his rating? Okay, he's getting older. He's going to regress, blah, blah. The locker room consists of real people. And I'm telling you, if you go in there with that attitude, oh, they're tough enough, they need to figure it out, they need to not worry about what other people are making, blah, blah, blah. Okay, just understand that's not how Belichick won all those championships, because he controlled that from the top down and made sure that he could hold up a contract when someone who was good, not great, said, overpay me. He could go, you saying you're worth more than this dude? That's the same thing Curly Lambeau did over 100 years ago, which is wild to think about, because he used to break out Don Hudson's, not quite 100 years ago, but he used to break out Don Hudson's contract and go, you telling me you should get paid more than Don Hudson? That's how you control the locker room. Anyway, Emilio, what do you got? You can hit on anything we talked about or any of these other signings here?
Excited that Brandon got signed. That's huge. Opens up the opportunity with Davante being cut, and honestly, looking at Osa Odigizua there, that's a big deal. 4 years, 20 per, probably roughly, $80 million. That just shows that you got to invest in the trenches if you got a talent. And I think that we're chasing that. We already tried the investment earlier and for future success, and it didn't pan out for Kenny. So let's see if we can't find a young one and start that process over again.
Yep. And again, man, it's like with Saquon, it's not like he's getting paid quarterback money. That looks like a big number. It's not like he's getting paid top receiver money. Yeah, he might be, but it's not like he's at the top of the mountain. But when everybody else in the league is saying running back's not worth it, you go and you give money to that dude that carried your team. I was listening to Dan Orlovsky earlier today on the Pat McAfee show, I think it was, and he said that I believe it was him talking about it in mid-season. I think it was by the end of September, the Eagles, the buzz around the locker room was like, hey, we should try to break the running carries record, not yardage record, carries record. I'm telling you, man, when teams establish that dominance on the ground, there's Mark Tauscher's talked about it, Brian Bulaga's talked about it. You want to go out there and run the ball early, because when you're pass blocking, you're just getting your ass kicked. You're literally hanging on for dear life pass blocking. Run blocking, hey, we got us a power here. All right, let's go smack them in the mouth. Let's get them on their heels a little bit. It's a tone setter, everything about it. When you got a team that's that excited about running the football, I think it's huge, man. Really.
So you're saying build the wall. Build that wall and protect Jay Love as well as grade in front of you, man. That's what we got to do. Seriously.
I think that's what we're saying, Amelia. I think that's what we're saying. So obviously we got a lot of news breaking here, right? With players getting cut and re-signed and this and that. Everybody's jockeying for position as free agency's approaching here. So I think we got one of our most important pieces done there with Brandon McManus, and we'll see what Goody's got in store here. I love the fact there's been no restructures, man. That tells me a lot. That he even with free agency on the edge here now, he'll probably end up restructuring a few. If they sign a player, they'll probably restructure a little bit. But the fact that he hasn't restructured anything yet tells me Goody really likes where they're at cap-wise, even going into free agency. It just shows you the page has been turned into a new era for Green Bay for sure, salary cap-wise. You guys remember when we paid Jordan Love and all the negative Nancy's were going, we can't afford that. How are we going to do this? Funny, you don't hear from him anymore, do you?
No.
That's the way that works. The old doom and gloomers. So, anything else you guys want to add to the local or the breaking news across the league today?
No, I think that's good stuff.
Let's move it along. Then we'll jump directly into. Let me ask Emilio. I don't know if he may have been cheating. He may have heard what we said about Tay. Emilio, we've got the calculated market value for Davante Adams. What would be the maximum that you would pay Davante Adams for the Packers?
Per year.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't push 20. I saw that poll. I would probably be max about 15. Ideally, I'd have him at 10 though.
Got it.
Just because, hey, I know I heard you at the end of it, tail of it, I think, but the dude's what, 30? And there's no precedent in signing him, someone that's 30, but also how many times are you going to have a previous wide receiver besides Randall Cobb come back at that age with that kind of talent and, be able to play in the same stadium he grew up in. Right. So I think that's where you go. All right, 10 million, what's another 5? I wouldn't be opposed to that. It's kind of like looking at it like Aaron Jones. We didn't pay that extra $1 million for him, but maybe we would flex 5 for Davante. That's where I'm kind of hesitant on the Packers actually doing it is all.
Yeah, and he's actually 32 years old is what I'm showing here. So a little bit older than 30, obviously. But, yeah, he's still playing at a high enough level that I think you could justify that 10 to 15 million. And, again, Spot Track came in at 13.6 million, so you're all over there with the number. William D. Lofton Sr. says 15 milli, so he's right there on board for sure.
Unless you do the 15 mil and say, all right, we got 2 years at 30, but we're only going to guarantee you, I don't know, 17 at the start. So even if you pay him for 1 year at 17, you still could get out of it and you still have a little bit of a backup. But yeah, that's not terrible.
Thank you. All right, let's move it along. Let's see what else we had on X earlier today. We had a couple other headlines I guess you could say headlines for the Packers. Anyway, I'm just so glad I'm finally getting my voice back, boys. It was bad. It was real bad.
Yeah, I wasn't going to get back on the show until you fixed that. I was not going to.
I don't blame you one bit.
That was out of hand.
Mandy already had her bags packed. She's like, I can't take this any longer.
Seriously.
All right. So I put a couple tweets out earlier, man. You remember the poll question I did on Josh Myers, like saying, hey, if Josh Myers leaves him free agency, the comments lit up with Jacob Monk. And I just put a tweet out. I want to get your all's take on it because I'm obviously missing something. I said, I'm not going to lie. Packers fans have really opened my eyes to offensive line Jacob Monk. Y'all giving me crazy hope in the comments that he's an absolute stud. What have people seen in Jacob Monk to make them think, no, this he's going to be awesome? Like, I can't figure it out. Like, am I missing something?
What you're missing is a guy named Travis Glover on that list, and that's what I'm saying. I don't understand how he's not being talked about. Like, we're over here talking about Monk, but we can't bring up TG. Come on now.
Do you honestly want to? I think where it stems from is because if you guys remember, Tim was there in person during camp. Jacob Monk was one of the guys that was really he was a crowd person. He'd go up and he'd rah the crowd at the beginning of practice. At the end of practice, he was running through, slapping hands, doing the pictures, signing the autographs. We know that our Green Bay people, they're very loyal and they're very, if you give them the time of day, they're going to be like, oh, he's one of us. He's put him in the Hall of Fame already. Monk's already got his jersey enshrined.
I just can't. I'm like, I can't find the tape. You know what I'm saying? Other than college, yeah, there's college tape, absolutely. But if he was so good, like, why did he last that long? You know what I'm saying in the draft? Because when did we draft him? Was it the 5th? Is that what I'm thinking?
Yes.
It was pretty late, right? Was it
5th? 5th or 6th max, but I'm pretty sure out of Duke, right?
Right. And yes. I understand people will say, well, Zach Tom was a 4th round pick. I completely agree. Zach Tom, right out of the gate, was like, this dude's a guy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jacob Monkey couldn't sniff the field. And all of a sudden it's like, yep, that's the answer. And I hope it works out. I hope that they pop him in at center and he takes off. Because, guys, if we've got him as a starting center for 3 years on that tiny little contract, heck yes. That's what you're looking for. You could extend Rasheed Walker and you're set pretty much across the offensive line. People are going, whoa. We're not set against the on the offensive line. Clayton, look what happened with Philly. That's my point. Jacob Monk's going to fix that. You understand what I'm saying? It's obvious that they've seen Josh Myers as way more valuable or way more talented than Jacob Monk. And I don't know, man. I'm holding out hope. And again, this isn't like 2 or 3 people commented. Everybody flooded the comments with Jacob Monk stuff. So,
and we fall back to when Josh was hurt, Elton went in at center. You know what I mean?
Right,
and everyone's mad at Elton because he didn't play well that game, which happens. It was raining and all that, but you didn't see him when the opportunity arose. When the playoffs, when we were in the playoff games against the Eagles and we had a lineman go down, who went in? My boy, TG, got roasted once or twice. But you're asking him to come in cold in a playoff game against Jalen Carter. Like, come on now, give him in a little breather here.
Oh man, Jason Wise says Jacob Monk had an RAS score of 9.748. That's some facts. That's some facts right there. He said he's an amazing ball of clay. Oh no, here we go. I think there was some
sarcasm coming, right?
Wait a minute.
Daryl says Graham Barton's opposite side. All right, not sure. This is a family program, sir. I don't know what side you're talking about.
You remember Graham Barton was everybody's draft crush about
that is true.
Last year.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So just opposite guard there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Jake Shaving said, I think he's talking about Glover. He said he went in and it looked like they had four offensive linemen out there.
How dare you? That's the pride of Southern Georgia right there.
Yes, it is. I do declare.
Okay.
Oh, Georgia State? My bad.
Yeah. Come on now.
Close enough.
I mean, seriously, though, you're asking him to go in cold. The rookie hasn't played all year. Come on now.
So, anyway, we'll see what they do here at center. I don't think Drew Dalman's going to be on their radar. I know that's one free agent we've talked about because the market value is showing like $6 or $7 million. And by the way, if I remember correctly, Brandon McManus's market value was like 6.5. We got him at five per. So hell of a job by Goody there, in my opinion. And obviously the $5 million guarantee does help there for sure. So let's move it along here. I thought this was cool. Brandon Bostic, you guys remember him? Used to play for the Packers. 17, go back to Green Bay and finish your legacy. We love and welcome you back. I'm a holla at Tay. There you go. So Brandon Bostic out there on the recruiting trail for Davante Adams. I love that everybody's mind immediately went to Davante coming back. Got to watch that one. That's going to be tough. Oh, look at this. I dropped a little Madden in on him earlier. I said, make it happen, Goody. Bring 7 home. Look at this dime right here from 10. Tay, you kidding me? Go up and get it, big fella. Let's go.
Jeez.
That's right. Anyway, people were hitting me up in DMs going, how did you get American Family Insurance on that? These boys ain't playing over in the PC modding community. I'm just telling you, they got everything. You can see Emilio in the stands with a sombrero on.
Yeah.
And a cheap-ass beer in his hand.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. some other news that kind of came down the pike here. I want to give a shout out to Justin M. He sent this to me before I noticed Easton Butler's tweet. He said, Kansas football offensive tackle Logan Brown was a standout performer at the combine. Impressive results in the shuttle 4.51, vertical 32 inches, and broad jump of 9 foot 3 inches. Saints, Seahawks, Falcons, Packers amongst those showing early love. Easton Butler later put out that the Packers did meet with him at the Senior Bowl, so we added the cheese to the board. Here's the issue we're faced with. And Amelia, I know you've been looking through the board and you've noticed this as well, man.
Yeah.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. Logan Brown, right? If you were to go to our board and find him, he's in the 410 spot, right?
Brutal.
Why is he so far down? 726 on the consensus big board when the season wrapped up. Now he's up in the 190s or something.
Is he really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
It's like, what do? Do we go against our board and put in the updated number? That would pop him up in a more reasonable spot. But I think we should probably do is hold off until Daniel Jeremiah releases his top 150, 33rd team does their top 150 or their entire board, and Dane Brugler does his top 150 to see if he falls in that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just tossed in 190. That would have put him at our score of a 140. That would drop him in right around 200 on the board if we were to throw him in at 190. But like you said, I think we got to stick to the board and how we have it set up, and then work it back as we get closer to the draft.
Yeah, we'll kind of see how it shakes out as we get a little closer. So
yeah.
Big difference though from 190 to 726, man.
Absolutely.
So again, Logan Brown, one of those guys. And here's what's crazy, Jacob. I'm sure you drafted him a couple times, man. PFF grade in 2024, he was the 22nd highest graded tackle, man.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of a weird history. I believe he started with the Badgers and had some sort of issue where I don't know if they made him transfer, if he asked to transfer. He only played 5 games in 2022. Had a 69.2 grade. 2023 only played 1 game and had a 77.3. This past year, 2024, 82.5, 11 games played. Now, to his credit, he's never once let a sack go in those 3 years. But to be fair, that's only 17 games. So, and only allowed 2 hits. Played most of his time at right tackle. Very small amounts at right guard, at left tackle as well.
There you go. Anything else on Logan Brown, Emilio? Anything else you want to hit on, Bob? I think you're muted.
Definitely muted. Good numbers from the guy. I think that we kind of just have to see as it comes closer. Obviously, he got that bump right for his RAS. So we'll see.
All right. Jason Y with the super chat. Thank you so much, bub. Appreciate you. He says, being that each team has to spend at least 89% of the cap, does that pretty much guarantee a big free agent signing? I did not know there was a rule that you had to spend 89% of the cap. If that is indeed the case, what do you know what percentage we're at right now, Jason? If you don't care, throw it in the chat. Because if that really is if that is a real rule there, I think it would just about – I mean, it's either that or an extension, right? And then front load the contract.
Right. Yeah,
so
he said he's not sure.
Okay, not sure. Sorry.
That 89%, I mean, that does sound kind of right. But, I mean, again, I feel like they would put in a rule like that. You always want a little bit of spending money, but it can't be – you never see anybody going in with $50 million in spending money, right? So I think that I'd love a big free agent signing. I don't think we need to spend crazy. You could make a couple of hits on, lower guys. It's not like you need to spend high dollar like we did last year. Yeah.
So let's just assume it is. Let's just play along, okay? And I appreciate you being honest here. Jason said he's not 100% sure. Let's say that is a rule. You basically got 2 options. Do like you said, go spend money in free agency, or like we said, you can extend a player. Let's say like Zach Tom, right? Like everybody's mentioned over and over and over. Extend Zach Tom, front load the contract where it eats up a little bit more cap this year, right. Frees up cap for the future. There you go. If that is a real
if
thing.
you're trying to get ahead of the 8 ball there.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Ron Sample said Spot Track has Myers projected at 23.25 for 3 years. So what, roughly little less than $8 million per. is what they're saying for Dallas. You guys know how I feel about that. If you can get Josh Myers for $5 million or less per year, I would be okay with bringing him back, because that means in 2 years you can get out of that contract no problem at all. You kind of raise the floor of the center position for you, where you got, okay, here's a solid backup. You try him at guard, let him play kind of a swing position. Ain't no way in heck I'm paying that money for Josh Myers based off what we've seen. But I wouldn't be surprised if that's the next re-signing we hear, because it's Ivy Scooty and them. The whole coaching staff last year, right? They could have been blowing smoke up our rear end, but all year long it was he's playing his best football. So we'll see. Famous last words. We'll see. Chris N says Dalman's going to get over $10 million per, in my opinion, and they've got his market value at like $6 to $7 million. I don't think I would pay Dalman over 10. I don't know. What do you guys think? Drew Dalman, the top center free agent, would y'all pay him over $10 million per?
No, but I could see him getting 10.
Yeah, I'd want to go 7 to 9 per.
Even that. At that point, we're signing Josh Myers back for 8 because he's already been in our system for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I sent you all that screenshot earlier, that mock draft that draft I did earlier.
Yeah.
Got Mimbo with the 23rd pick, ran the card up there, popped him in at left guard, put Elton at center, and we're off.
Here's the guy.
I love the way that looked too. It was awesome. I ended up taking a tackle later to kind of shore up the backup spot there at tackle, kind of a swing tackle backup. But yeah, Chris, I can see him getting over 10 though, no doubt. All right, let's see what else we got here. Up next, we already hit that. This was interesting. You guys know Jalen Walker, kind of that hybrid linebacker / edge rusher in the draft. Emilio, do you have the board pulled up?
I do. Yep.
Cool. Where did Jalen Walker end up? Do you know? Just right offhand. And here's the report. Pro Football Talk said, report Jalen Walker has a quad strain that will keep him out of Georgia's pro day. So
he is 26th on our board, just in front of Siobhan Ravel and Emeka Mbuka, just behind Derek Harmon.
Got it. So you guys know how I feel about Jalen Walker. Second round pick, I'd probably be okay with it. First round pick, I wouldn't touch it because he's kind of that tweener type player. I see Jacob nodding his head yes. And if I remember correctly, Jacob, he wasn't great on PFF either, was he? Am I thinking right?
No. His best year was this last year. 14 games played, 73.1. 2023 was a 72.6. 2022, 63.2. Really poor against, I shouldn't say really poor, but not great against the run. Has a great pass rush grade of 83.6. Coverage grade's okay at 67.5. But the thing I really don't like, missed tackle rate of 12.1%. Just when you look at his games, just graded by game, he's got a couple decent ones in there, but all in all, just not very productive when it kind of mattered.
Yeah, tweener, right outside linebacker in college football 25, man. I just don't – it's not for me, man. The way we're going, hard pass.
Yeah. Here was Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 2.0 there about a week or two ago.
Yep.
Did he have him going in the first round? Look for Jalen Walker here. I'm trying to remember if he did or not.
He had him going eighth. Dang.
Eighth overall. I just can't see it. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm too drunk to taste that chicken. And watch him come out and be a stud. People were saying this might be the next Micah Parsons. That's what I'm hearing. And it's like, he might be. But Micah Parsons, to me, you knew he was going to be a stud if he played stack backer or if he rushed the passer. Jalen Walker's kind of like, he can rush the passer, but he wasn't just predominantly an edge at Georgia. So it's like, why didn't they have him rushing the quarterback every play? You know what I'm saying? Micah excelled even as a stack backer. So I don't know, just something to monitor there. And the reason I wanted to mention that's because, like we said in Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft, he's getting drafted 8th. Now all of a sudden he's got a quad strain that's going to keep him out of his Georgia Pro Day. Who knows? He might drop a few spots. And also, you'll notice he had Shedeur Sanders in the 6th spot. Some people are saying he's dropping. That I heard another comment earlier today. I think it was on the McAfee show. They said when he met with teams felt like he was disinterested in the meeting. Now, immediately, Pat McAfee, being a friend of Deion Sanders, was like, that's Shedeur, man. Shedeur's just smooth, man. He's been in the limelight since he's been in middle school and this and that. And it's just telling you, man, it rubs people the wrong way. You know, it rubs them the wrong way. So, like you mentioned last night, Jacob, I think it was you, it kind of feels like Johnny Manziel again. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. So, we'll see, though. He's got a ton of talent. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, Tay getting released was news. Thought this was interesting. We'll hit on it real quick, and we'll wrap up in a couple of minutes. We got to get running. Tom Pelissero now official. No tag for Sam Darnold. The sides are still trying to find a deal that works for both sides. As Ian Rappaport had tweeted out, the Vikings are not expected to franchise tag quarterback Sam Darnold by Tuesday's deadline. So they're continuing to try to work out a deal. If I were him, I would just dip my toe in the free agency a little bit. See if another Cleveland Brown knucklehead comes flying in and says, "Hey, we'll give you this. We'll match the number per year that the Vikings are, and we'll give you a bunch more guaranteed."
Right.
So
Yep.
I want to ask you guys as Packer fans, would you rather Sam Darnold return to the Vikings and then move and then wait on JJ McCarthy, or would you rather them move on to JJ McCarthy? Because this could be, Jacob, this could be a one and done for Sam Darnold. It could be just a fluke, but also we got to acknowledge the fact he played pretty damn good football last year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I go back and forth on this. I got a ton of Viking fans in my life, unfortunately, and I don't honestly think that they know what to do. What's that saying you always say? They didn't whether to
fart or go blind, so they close one, or poop or go blind, right? So they close one eye and farted. Right?
You never eat where you poop, or poop where you eat.
But honestly, I don't think they know what they're confident because they think they have a quarterback either way. But like you said, the dynamic could be a lot thinner ice than they could be crashing through than they're aware of. Because if it is just the fact that Sam Darnold came in and had just a fluke of a year, everything was like the cards just stacked up just right, which is true because there's never been a year like he had last year in the history of his career, regardless of where he was. Granted, he played for some pretty sloppy teams in the past. Or do you take the option of JJ McCarthy, who is completely unknown, completely unproven, coming off an injury year where he has to basically have the whole weight of the franchise on his shoulders? Now, does it help that he's got the best quote-unquote wide receiver in the game to throw to? Yeah, I'm sure it does. If I had to choose right now, I would try to make him show me that JJ McCarthy can handle the load. I'd rather see him go and have a fresh new start and try to win 14 games and then listen to the announcers, the fans, and Paul Allen absolutely lament the fact that they let Sam Darnold go without even really trying to sign him, a guy that won 14 games for him, guys. That's massive.
This isn't Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Emilio.
Yeah, I would say that. I would honestly say that let's get JJ out there, and if we're Packers fans, we want them to, potentially fail if possible. Let's get the young kid out there, see if he can start seeing ghosts. That would be my take.
Got it. I think that's a great comment you highlighted there, Jacob. Ron Sample said Sam Darnold's playoff game made the decision hard. It really did, man. We go out there and lay an egg when it mattered the most. So obviously. So we got Easton Butler's tweet. Just want to give him a shout out. Obviously, he tweeted that out earlier that the Packers met with Logan Brown at the Senior Bowl. Let's see. There was one more thing here. Oh yeah, this was cool. Say the name again for me here, Emilio. Osa
Odigizua.
All right. It says it is in tremendous company. Every defensive tackle in the past 10 years that recorded a pressure rate of plus 12% while playing more than 800 snaps in a season. Aaron Donald in 2020, Aaron Donald in 2023, Aaron Donald in 2021, Chris Jones in 2022, Osa in 2023, Dexter Lawrence in 2022, and Osa in 2024. Now, Here are the pressure rates for each of these defensive tackles we just said. 18%, 15%, 13%, 13%, 13%, 12%, 12%. Why do I mention that? We're paying a guy over $20 million against the cap this year. Last year it was $27 million against the cap, and his pressure rate was 6%. That was Kenny Clark. Now again, the tape shows why it was so bad, but still, these are the guys you're missing out on when you refuse to try to find the next great 3-tech. Because I'm telling you, you miss every single shot you don't take. You've got to keep swinging until you find a dominant 3-tech.
Michael Scott.
Yeah. Jacob nodding. He knows he scatters shots in the club on Saturdays. So there we go. All right. So I just wanted to mention that. Any thoughts on that before we wrap up, guys?
Just saying, you get with 5 2s, that's a 10, baby. All right.
And that is arithmetic.
That is. This is a little bit in the same vein. I mean, we talked about how Kenny, we're paying so much money for Kenny, and we haven't gotten the production we've wanted. We paid so much money to Jair, not got the production we wanted. Paid a lot of money to Rashawn, so on and so forth. Even you could go into Elton. Does that maybe stop us from paying any of the? I mean, the wide receivers got to get paid. I still think if anybody deserves the money right now, it's Zach Tom.
Don't put that name
up
in my mouth right there.
Exactly. But just more importantly, like I just want us to start putting the money into positions that are going to give us dividends paying back, that are going to be giving us an ROI on the investment we're doing. Because you see that the teams that make that right decision, I mean, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Odigizua. Is that what it is?
It's close enough.
Odigizua.
Odigizua. I have to imagine, is that still a rookie contract that he's under right now?
No, they just signed him. Or wasn't he was the one that got signed to 4 years, 80 mil? I think he was coming up on his 4th year.
I mean, because I'll be honest, I've never heard of the guy up until this podcast. Didn't even know he was a human being on the earth.
Well, I listened to that Love of the Star one with Brian Browdish on it. He's like the old Packers guy, but covers the Cowboys. So they talk about him a lot. They love him, right?
Best guy around.
Exactly. I mean, if you can get that pressure up front, and they didn't have Dexter Lawrence last year, he got hurt. He was out of it. Micah was in and out. So I think that, you have to have some sort of consistency inside there. Build the wall, offense and defense.
There you go. Got to get it in. Drew D did clarify earlier there. The salary floor is 89% over a 4-year period. All right. Dave's MX6 Garcia says, any thoughts about bringing in Jack Sanborn? Bears just cut him, but he's a good inside linebacker. Been a fan since his Wisconsin days. How do y'all feel about Jack Sanborn? We'll wrap this thing up.
Bring him in, baby.
Jacob's all about those Badgers, man.
He played great football. I don't know why the Bears are stupid enough to cut him, man. He played good football.
Honestly, I don't really know anything about the guy, or I would give you a take, but yeah, I don't know.
Let me pull him up real quick.
You got hold to the wrong stuff.
Just give me 1 minute here, guys. All right. Overall grade last year, 63.1. Not great. Pass rush grade of 70.1, which is 33rd out of 189 linebackers. Run defense grade of 61st out of 189. Coverage grade wasn't great with a 45. But, I mean, I don't know why I'm partial to him, obviously. I'm very partial to him. His defensive grades through his career, 67.3, 64.5.
That's terrible.
67.3. Yeah, come on.
That's terrible.
Get out of here, Charles.
65%. That's what
Jacob, the real question is he
Thick.
Sure.
Oh,
the real question is, if you walked him into a Home Depot, does he know where the Milwaukee tools are at? That's what I need to know. Does he know where he can find the Milwaukee tools?
He's only 24 years old. He's 6'2", 234. I say we give him a chance, guys.
Right.
Come on.
Hit him with the remix. Let's end the show with the remix here. You ready?
Just the tip. Thick.
Cheese curds in my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Sit your butt outside.
There you go. We were tripping all over.
I was just clicking away.
This show sucks. It sucks so bad. But hey, thank y'all for wasting your evening hanging out with us. Jason Y, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you, man. Everybody in the Patreon group, appreciate your all support. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live. Jacob's got to get to the office, I believe. So
that's ridiculous.
That's just an awkward wave. That's all you get.
And we go.
Bye, guys.